Hey, this is Louie and Paula from wildernesscommonsense.com. Today we're exploring Arizona, taking the Jeep Trail to Kaiser Warm Spring in Mohave County. We headed south from the town of Wickiup on Highway 93 to just past mile marker 134. The road we want can only be reached from the southbound lane, so if you're heading north, you'll have to go to the signal road turnoff and make a U-turn and backtrack. This Google Earth image shows the important landmarks. It's easy to drive right past the turnoff as it's not marked. Follow the most traveled road to what will be a pleasant surprise to those who haven't been here before. The road crosses a cattle guard and climbs the ridge. There are some ruts in the road, but high-clearance vehicles shouldn't have a problem. Once on the ridge, the road continues until it reaches a saddle. The vegetation is typical of the Sonoran Desert, saguaros and Palo Verde, but this is their northern limit. Mohave County is mostly in the Mohave Desert, where the typical vegetation is Joshua trees and Palo Christis. There's a fault in the crust called the Bright Angel. This fault is visible at the Grand Canyon and projects to the southwest. It appears to have controlled the location of 4 volcanic centers of the same age: Mount Floyd, Mount Hope, Kaiser Spring, and Castaneda Hills. Today we're visiting the Kaiser Spring field. From the saddle, we dropped into Warm Spring Wash. The trail is pretty good all the way to the wash, passable by any high-clearance vehicle. From the wash, it starts to get sandy and rocky. If you don't have a four-wheel drive vehicle, you might want to park here and continue on foot the 3/4 of a mile to the spring. This spring is most commonly called Kaiser Hot Spring or Kaiser Warm Spring, but both are incorrect. On the USGS topographic map, Kaiser Spring is located further upstream in Kaiser Wash. The warm spring that everyone calls Kaiser Spring is actually Warm Spring. This really shouldn't be a problem as long as people know where they're going. In winter, sunlight takes its time reaching the bottom of the canyon. Shadows offer respite from the sun, but can play games with photography lighting. The walls begin to get steeper and higher, offering views of the different layers of volcanic units, some flows and some sediments. One of these steep walls shows a distinctive rock type called vitrifier, which is a volcanic rock that cooled very quickly and it didn't have a chance to form mineral grains in the entire rock. We broke off a chunk and it looks like glass because it is volcanic glass. Not as good as obsidian, which is a clean glass, but a mixture of glass and mineral grains. Just imagine that someone's squeezing a giant tube of toothpaste. The toothpaste is viscous or thick and doesn't want to flow like the lava seen in Hawaii. It flows, but then stops and is pushed by more lava behind it, so it bends and contorts, just like what we see here in the cliff wall. The road goes in and out of the wash with sandy and rocky sections. Careful not to ding your oil pan. Here there are parts of the road where we had to do some rock crawling. To help our Jeep, we put it in 4 low. The burrow vein outcrops at Warm Spring. It has textures that indicate what type of mineral deposit it is. Are you ready for this mouthful? It's a low sulfidation epithermal gold-silver vein deposit, which is a fancy way of saying it doesn't have many sulfides like pyrite, and it was formed at low temperatures as far as mineral deposits are concerned, and it produced gold and silver and is a vein. Warm water flows right out of solid rock where a hole was drilled to test the gold-silver content of the vein. Imagine the driller's surprise when warm water flowed right out of the hole. Continuing downstream, we wound our way around rocks and crossed the small stream of water that flows from the pool and from other seeps along the vein. Today there was enough water flowing from the spring that it almost made it to Burrow Creek. During the summer months, there isn't as much water, and this part of the wash is usually dry. This road was put in to access the Burrow mine. Today we were fortunate that the water level was low and enough vehicles had gone before us that the river cobbles were tamped down, making it smoother than usual. There were lots of vehicle tracks crossing the creek, and we wondered if we'd find someone ahead of us. Checking closer, we decided the last vehicle that crossed the creek was heading out. How can we tell the direction a vehicle was traveling? To learn about reading vehicle tracks, check out the presentation in our website. Walking to the top of the mountain and looking through a notch in the Burrow vein, we could see the rugged Poche Range wilderness area. Studies indicate the Spaniards were the first to work this area. A second round of exploration occurred between 1902 and 1928. The latest round of exploration was in 2008 by Sitka Gold Corporation. The drilling results show a resource of just under 125,000 gold equivalent ounces, meaning the value of gold and silver combined. In the early 1900s, the area supported a 2-stamp mill operation, but nothing remains of it today. We're able to cross Burrow Creek, which isn't always possible. We've seen the creek during high runoff, and it was rocking and rolling then. Looking at the sides of the creek, we saw driftwood piles 20 feet above the level of the creek. No way to get across the creek during those times. As it was, the crossing was about 2 feet deep, but the water wasn't moving, so there was no danger of being washed away. We were headed out when we came across 2 intrepid hikers on their way to the mine. Creek bottom is covered with rounded river cobbles. It takes a lot of energy to make rocks round. Just ask someone who works with lapidary equipment. The tumbling of rocks takes a lot of time and energy in rock tumblers. The way out was about as bad as the way in, winding around boulders. The sandy stretches with vertical walls remind us that this is not the place to get caught during monsoon season, when the hard summer rains cause flash flooding. We were on a rescue of kayakers who were running Burrow Creek during high water. As there are only a few access roads to reach the creek, this being one of them, we had to be careful that no more rain was forecast. Embarrassing when the rescuer becomes the one needing rescue. When we got back to Warm Spring, there was someone there enjoying the warm water. Not wanting to intrude, we continued on our way. We were going around a curve when we saw it. A griffin guarding his canyon. A griffin is a mythical creature, half eagle, half lion. It has a zero-tolerance policy against evil, so it's like a superhero guarding its canyon. Very cool. Glad you could join us today on this adventure, and we hope to see you again soon.